Hello, my name is Lauren Levy, and I'm a second-year Cantorial student at Hebrew Union College. These past few weeks have been exhausting and exhilarating. No matter what role we played, Hurricane Sandy evacuee, or Coney Island volunteer, campaign manager, or election voter, we know that these events will be a part of history, and yet they also continue to shape the way we act today. This interplay of historical importance and present-day reality is very much at play in this week's Torah portion, Chayei Sarah. Our story begins with Sarah's death and Abraham's determination to buy her a proper burial place. Abraham has chosen to purchase the land at the cave of Machpelah, which belonged to Ephron the Hittite in Hebron. The dialogue between Abraham and Ephron is detailed in the Torah portion, complete with prostration and overly complimentary language. Throughout the scene, the narrator is sure to remind us that there was an audience that could hear everything. Though Ephron originally offered the field and the cave as a gift, he eventually accepted 400 silver shekels for the land. This scene leaves me with a few questions. Why is Abraham so intent on paying for the land? Why is Ephron so insistent on giving it away? And why does the narrator think we need to be reminded that there was an audience? Elisha Greenbaum, rabbi at L'Chaim Chabad in Australia, points out that we don't bargain shop for the important things in life. Rather, we seek quantifiable proof for our efforts. In quibbling over a price, both Abraham and Ephron wanted to appear fair to one another and to the witnesses of the transaction. Earlier in Genesis, God told Abraham, "The entire land that you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever." So, based on the word of God, Abraham could have just wandered into town and claimed the land was his. However, he was determined to make a proper purchase of the land, acknowledging the rights of the owner and fostering coexistence. In Bereshit Rabbah, we read that there are 3 parts of Israel for which the Jewish right of ownership is inarguably established: the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, purchased by King David, the section of Shechem, purchased by Jacob, and the Machpelah field of Hebron, purchased by Abraham. While living in Israel, I visited 2 of these indisputable sites, which have strong links to the past, but which are also home to major conflicts today. This week, we learn of the biblical connection to Hebron. However, modern Hebron is very different. Today, Hebron is filled with security checkpoints and segregated streets. Other streets are completely blocked off to Palestinians, resulting in countless closed stores. Graffiti is everywhere, as are grates and nets used to shield Palestinians from the trash thrown by settlers. Hebron is a microcosm of some of the worst parts of the West Bank. So what makes Hebron so special? The cave of our ancestors, Ma'arat HaMachpelah. I have to tell you, though, I visited it and I felt very disconnected. First off, it looked like a church, complete with side chambers and tombs. Second, the concept of visiting a burial site is kind of lost on me. I see no need to visit the gravesite of my grandmother, whom I loved dearly and helped bury personally. Therefore, why would I care about the theoretical burial site of people who may or may not have existed? I acknowledge that others may care deeply about the location of Hebron, and it is precisely in the interest of Jewish peoplehood that I care too. However, I draw the line when certain actions intended for security are at the cost of other people's freedom. These problems are not limited to Israeli-Palestinian relations. One can easily find similarities between the injustices in Hebron and the gender segregation at the Western Wall. As mentioned earlier, these places are linked in history by the fact that both have legal documentation for their purpose. However, who would have known that today they would still be linked in their actions to separate groups of people? Just as Palestinians are denied rights and subject to violence in Hebron, Jewish women suffer a similar battle at the Western Wall. Orthodox rabbis have erected a mechitza, separating men from women and allotting 1/3 the amount of space to women. Recently, Anat Hoffman, chairwoman of Women of the Wall, a group that advocates for women's rights to pray at the wall and with whom I prayed many times last year, was arrested for reciting the Shema at the wall. Israeli law states that women are forbidden from wearing talit, praying aloud, and chanting from Torah at the Western Wall. Again, one could argue, Why care about an ancient stone wall that may have surrounded the temple? In truth, it doesn't matter why. It just matters that people do care. Therefore, their voices must be heard, and justice must be upheld. I have come to realize that I am much more inspired by present-day desire to maintain Jewish values than by efforts at historical precision. Our daily interactions with our neighbors speak much more loudly than burial sites and land purchases. We need to put the values of today in balance with the details of yesterday. The situations at Hebron and the Western Wall are very complicated, and unfortunately there are no simple solutions. It is my sincere hope that today we can learn from Abraham and Ephron and seek some form of coexistence throughout Israel and the territories where equal rights, mutual respect, and human dignity are maintained for all. While it is possible that the words of Abraham and Ephron were overflowery and for the sake of an audience, they still emphasize the values of honor and hospitality. As we emerge from the historical events of Hurricane Sandy and the election, may we find the right balance in rebuilding today and shaping the future.